The Colts made some massive moves today in free agency. Bryce, Alec Pierce, $28.5 million over a 4 year extension. He was the most coveted receiver in free agency, turning down reportedly $30 plus million from teams like the 49ers, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Titans. He decides to stick with Indianapolis, and then Indy decides to ship Michael Pittman Jr. off to Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts on this big time move from the Indianapolis Colts?
Man, Sauce Gardner posted on Twitter how he was going to lock Pierce in his basement and make him sign the papers. And that's what feels like it happened because I don't know how in the world this guy took less money to stay with the Colts and catch passes from Daniel Jones, but that's what he did. And like you said, Pittman's now gone. So he's pretty much this team's wide receiver one, maybe their wide receiver two, depending where you look at downs. But this guy got paid and now he's coming in to be the guy in Indy, and there's no other way around it. Pittman, on the other hand, I mean, he's kind of hasn't been the Pittman he was like 2, 3 years ago, faced some injuries, but he's going to Pittsburgh to be their wide receiver too. And I think that's a great ad for them.
Yeah, I think overall this kind of goes and shows the shift of these two teams. Pierce is looking to step in a more consistent role. You talked about it, never over 50 receptions in his career, still had 1,000 receiving yards this year for the Indianapolis Colts. And Michael Pittman's taken a few steps back. He did have 784 receiving yards on 80 catches this past year, which is respectable, but they were paying this guy wide receiver one money. They're eating some of that money to send him for Pittsburgh. And I think that's a great move, for both ends. It gives them an opportunity to showcase Pierce as a wide receiver one, like the money that they paid them. And then in Pittsburgh, alongside DK Metcalf, you have another respectable weapon that the defenses have to start accounting for. And I know that Michael Pittman isn't a world beater by any means, but he's much better than what Pittsburgh has rolled out there over the last few seasons. So I think all in all, that's a very good move. But for the Colts, it's just a little bit, I don't know, questioning. Do you feel like they can't get a wide receiver in the draft? Is that what their thought process is? Do you feel like the receiver market that they could have replaced Pierce with over the next 2 seasons wasn't good enough? Are you going to pay Daniel Jones? What do you think their thought process was saying, we have to re-sign Alec Pierce?
I'm not gonna lie. When this originally came out, I was completely out on it. I said overpay. I said this guy's been that productive. I said he's gonna be the wide receiver two, wide receiver three. You don't even have a legit quarterback. But I think, although I still feel that way a little bit, the Pittman trade makes it make a little more sense to me. Like, you got to a point where you couldn't let him walk. If your plan was to trade Pittman, you couldn't let him walk, or you're in trouble. So you were kind of handcuffed, and you paid him less than what other teams are getting, but it was kind of like we have to give him the closest he could possibly get to come back to Indy. And like we were talking earlier, the receptions haven't been there. He doesn't get targeted a ton, but the production has been getting better every single year, and he is on the younger side. So if they view him as a future wide receiver one, a legit player that is now only he's entering year four now on the upward rise, I can't blame them. And maybe they have a better vision than I do.
Yeah, I think the Pittman move, makes sense. And I think it was a direct correlation to them re-signing Pierce. It was, if we get Pierce, Pittman, you're gone. If we don't retain Pierce this year, then Pittman, you're going to stay for another year. They wanted to basically have one of those high cap receivers. And I know it feels like almost Indianapolis is in a retooling year. And that's crazy. Like, they don't have a first round pick because they traded for Sauce Gardner. Jones is coming off a torn Achilles. This team doesn't feel like they're in a great spot to compete for 2026. So what they're doing, almost in a way, is they're eating some of this dead money with the Pittman contract in 2026, right? They're re-signing Alec Pierce for the next 4 seasons. So in 2027, they're in a little bit better spot once these guys are healthy. They get some of that dead money out. They get some younger guys. I like Tyler Warren. I like Lateo too. Those are two young pieces that are a strong core for them overall. I like this Colts team, but in 2026, it just feels like it's not going to work perfectly, especially considering the Titans have a ton of cap space. They're going to make some moves today. They have a ton of draft capital as well. The Jaguars are still a really good football team. And then you still have the Houston Texans, who have maybe the best defense in football still next year. So with the Colts, I still feel like this is a little bit of a retool and a rebuild for one season to get better for 2027. But fantasy football wise, Bryce, how are you looking at Pierce and Pittman heading into next year?
Probably two guys I will just avoid completely. I think Pierce will be probably a little bit too overpriced for me. Kind of looking at him being the wide receiver one, he's probably going to be a little bit too high for me. But Pittman, Just not a guy I normally target, really. Like, that's just not a guy. I usually don't like targeting Steelers players like that. Like, they're very vulnerable. Even DK this past year, going in the fourth round, I thought that was a little bit too early. And Pittman, I struggle if that offense can produce consistently. He's a wide receiver too now. So, I mean, if you had to give me value wise, just off the top of my head, I'd probably take Pittman over Pierce. Assuming Pittman would actually go after him still. But probably two guys I'm staying away from, as I think now. Yeah.
Yeah, Pierce I feel like is going to be overvalued because people will say, "Oh, he's never had like this type of volume and receptions." I think the way teams attack him is going to be much different, and I'm not super convinced his route tree is a wide receiver 1S tree. So I think he's, a very volatile low end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3. The guy I think receives the most bump is Tyler Warren. His target volume is going to go up. He's going to be a really strong option for them when Daniel Jones is healthy for them. And then Pittman, I'm just not interested. He's an older wide receiver heading into an offense that hasn't been explosive in a few seasons. And I know Mike McCarthy is going to air that ball out, but Pittman's not necessarily one of my favorite targets heading into next year. So drop your reactions down below. Did the Colts make the right decision this offseason? What do you think of Pittman in a Steelers uniform in 2026? Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and me and Bryce will catch you all next time.